Welcome back to the Allen Set for this feature interview. I'm Kelsey Hubbard. Last week I had Chris Bingham to talk about the proposed national fraternity Kappa Sigma and as his position as Greek Council President. This week I had with me Trenton Banks and Nathan Van Landingham, two members of the Kappa Sigma interest group here on campus. Guys, thank you so much for coming on set with me today.
Thank you for having us.
So why do you think that the campus here actually needs this fraternity? Like, why did you decide to bring it here?
One of the biggest ideas that I think tried to start with was bringing a new option here to campus. One thing personally for me, just sort of starting out, is Greek life wasn't something that I initially found interest in coming into campus. And then I got started with Trenton and a group of maybe 5 guys looking at founding a new fraternity on campus. The idea of a national came up, and we just sort of started pursuing that path and sort of testing out our options.
And why did you guys specifically choose the Kappa Sigma national one instead of like a different one?
I think for us, a big part of it is the history in the area. Stephen Alonzo Jackson, the 7th ever member of Kappa Sigma, actually attended Emory and Henry. So that was a big deal for us, especially since he's so influential on the fraternity as a whole. And the fact that Kappa Sigma was here for 21 years in the late 1800s is important to us as well. So I think that played into the Kappa Sigma pride that we've come to today.
Right. And why, I guess, speaking as a whole for the group, why do you think that the ones who are involved in this interest group want to be involved in Kappa Sigma, the chapter here at Emory and Henry?
I think it was finding specific core values that a lot of them fell in line with. Kappa Sigma itself has the 4 pillars that it abides by: scholarship, fellowship, leadership, and service. And with the current group of 24 men that we have, I feel like every single one of them has found at least one of those pillars, if not all of them, that they have found that they align with very, very well.
Right. And so I guess, why do you guys specifically, each one of you, want to be in this fraternity?
For me, going back to initially not wanting to be a part of Greek life, I personally, didn't find interest in it. Started talking with Trenton and a smaller group of guys, and then we were invited to their National Grand Conclave out in Nevada this past summer, and there we met 1,800 undergraduates. We were immediately accepted by brothers. So for me, it wasn't so much choosing Kappa Sigma specifically, it was finding an organization that I found a brotherhood in, and a brotherhood that respected me and loved me for who I was, and that was just something that drew me in immediately.
Right. And what about you?
Right, like Nathan said, we got to attend Grand National Conclave in Las Vegas this summer, and that's actually where I fell in love with the organization. Being, the bottom of the table in interest group, below colonization and full chapters, we were still treated the same as everybody else, and that was a big deal for us. So walking in there and being treated as family, that was a big deal. We felt welcomed immediately. I felt welcomed immediately. And then to go on from that, we were there for a total of 4 days, I think. And on the last day, I got offered an internship with the leading heart surgeon at UMass. So that's important to me as well, the fact that I can grow what I want to do with my life out of this fraternity. Right.
And you guys might have mentioned this, but why specifically did you decide to, I guess, not pursue one on campus? Because I do, like at the forum a couple weeks ago, you guys mentioned that neither of you have actually rushed, and that was a big thing with Greek organizations, and I was wondering why you specifically decided to skip that and go straight to like this instead of like pursuing a couple on campus.
Right. For me, I couldn't actually rush until the semester we're sitting in due to being a student athlete. So I can't rush freshman year at all, and then I couldn't rush in season because I play soccer. So we were obviously exploring different options when this first came up and stuff like that. But then I fell in love with Kappa Sigma. And frankly, if I was to rush now, I don't think it would be fair to the other organizations because my heart lies somewhere else.
Right, definitely. And I guess so far in the process of where you are now, what have you guys done with administration in trying to get this on campus?
So the way that the entire process has worked out at the moment is we initially started last year in the late fall, early spring by talking with Jimmy Whited, and we came in, introduced the idea, and the way the process starts out is you have to get the Greek administrators' approval first before you can reach out to any national organization. Once we had approval from Jimmy Whited, we were then able to start and reach out to Kappa Sigma, who actually was one of the fraternities that Jimmy Whited had suggested to us. He knew Trent specifically from class. He knew a couple of our other guys, and he felt that that would be sort of a good fit for us. And so we reached out to the national headquarters. We started establishing contact, and we actually had the director
Of chapter services.
Come down and speak with us, start getting things going. Initially, the way that we thought under Jimmy Whited is that we were going through all the right processes, and we were good to go. And Mick Wilson actually came down, met with Jake Schrum, who he's a good friend with. President Schrum had actually not heard this specifically anything about us, and so the brakes were pumped immediately. We figured that we really weren't in contact with administration the way that we had been led to believe, and so then we started going through administration, talking with Dean Pam, set up bi-weekly meetings with her, and met with Sarah Matchett, and we were under the impression that this information that we were giving to Dean Pam and that we were learning was then being disseminated to other administrators and to the heads of the Greek community themselves. We found out that that wasn't the case, and so we've had to take a step back to really try and educate members of the Greek community so that they're at the same point as administration is, and so that we can talk through all of the concerns and questions and really get sort of everything hammered out. Our next step following from this point forward is to continue meeting with the heads of Greek life, the presidents, vice presidents. We've met with a few of the fraternities and sororities. We've got some more. We need to meet with the advisors of those fraternities and sororities. We have the Board of Trustees meeting on April 1st and 2nd, and then from there we will go to Greek Council and then on to SGA.
Awesome. And
that's assuming we get approval from everybody.
Right, of course. I do have one final kind of big question. At the forum I mentioned a couple weeks ago, one of the big issues that was raised was alleged spying, and I wondered what your reaction was to those alleged people saying those things.
Right. For me, it was complete awe, because that's not something I condone. It's not something that I've done myself, and I know it's not something that any of our interested members have done. So when that came out, when that rumor surfaced, it was just a complete smack to the face, pretty much, because I didn't fathom where the idea came from, I suppose, or the fact that it could even be happening with one of our guys. So for me, it was a surprise, and we went from there. We asked our guys about it, obviously, and they all said no. So I trust them completely, and I know for a fact that if they tell me they haven't done it, that it hasn't happened. I'm not sure where the rumor surfaced. I'm not sure where it came from. I'm not sure if if someone else was spying, but I know for certain it was not our group.
Right. Well, thank you guys both so much for taking the time to come on set with me today.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. This has been your feature interview. I'm Kelsey Hubbard with Nathan and Trenton.